Hey friends! My name is Desiree, aka Mama Friendly, and I do all sorts of videos on my channel, from cooking videos to planner videos, vlogs, hauls, homeschool videos with a Disney twist, a little bit of everything. So if any of these things sound like fun to you, I hope that you'll subscribe and join me on my YouTube adventure. As you can tell by the getup, today's video is holiday themed. My friend Valerie at the Hargett Life has invited me and a bunch of her friends to make some cookies for Santa. If you're new to my channel, welcome. And if you're an old friend, thank you for coming back. But you especially know that I eat exclusively gluten and dairy free. Because of that, I tend to gravitate towards paleo recipes because they take all the guesswork out of it. They're already gluten and dairy free without me having to do the extra work of adapting recipes. So, because I thought maybe Santa might also want to try a gluten and dairy-free option, I decided to make Paleo Thumbprint cookies. Now these have all the taste of a regular shortbread cookie. We've got the raspberry jam, and of course the raspberry jam is kind of a deciding factor on whether it's straight up paleo or if it's just gluten and dairy free. The difference being that jam that's paleo is going to have something like honey or maple syrup as a sweetener rather than traditional sugar. So technically, I guess the version I'm making is gluten and dairy free, but you see how easy it is to just make a paleo version out of this. And I even did a little something extra at the end to make them really special, but I'll tell you about it after the recipe's done. Remember, this is a collab, so once you finish seeing what I made, you should go check out the playlist that I've linked in the description box of my video so that you can see not only what Valerie made, but what all of our friends made for Santa as well. So with all that being said, let me show you how I made my gluten-free and dairy-free raspberry thumbprint cookies. So as always, first things first, our ingredients. We're going to need 2 cups of blanched almond flour. We need a 1/4 cup of melted coconut oil, a 1/4 cup of maple syrup, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and a teaspoon of almond extract. You might want to play around and use a little less almond. It's a very strong flavor. And 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. If you don't have apple cider vinegar, you can use lemon juice in its place. To fill the cookies, you're going to want a 1/4 to 1/3 of a cup of raspberry jam. So we're going to start by preheating our oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're going to mix all of our ingredients except for the jam in a large mixing bowl. So again, that was 2 cups of almond flour, a 1/4 cup of melted coconut oil, a 1/4 cup of maple syrup, 1/4 teaspoon salt, 1/4 teaspoon baking powder, teaspoon of vanilla, teaspoon of almond extract, and a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. Now I may regret this, but I'm using half regular almond flour and half super fine. It's what I had on hand and I didn't want to open up a new bag when I had an open one ready to go. It's going to add some texture to the cookies. I may or may not love that. I'll let you know. I don't know about you where you're at, but in Florida, everybody stays with their AC on, so the coconut oil is always solid. So I'm measuring it solid, 1/4 cup. I'm going to put it in the microwave for about 30 seconds, and then I'm going to measure it a second time before I pour it into the bowl. In the meantime, I'm going to use my whisk to combine both almond flours and break up any lumps. As you can see, it might be a better idea to use a spoon rather than a whisk to mix your ingredients together, but now they are nice and uniform and combined. You want the cookie dough batter to be sticky, but it should be easy to roll into a ball and keep its shape. You don't want it to be wet or runny. If it's too wet, you can add a little more almond flour, about a tablespoon at a time, until it gets to about this consistency. According to the recipe, you should be able to get 32 small cookies out of this if you use a half tablespoon of dough per cookie, or you can get 16 large cookies by scooping 1 tablespoon of dough per cookie. As you can see, I got exactly 12 uniform cookies using my cookie scoop. Now you can use either a half teaspoon measuring spoon, or you can use your thumb to press holes in the center of the cookies and fill them about 3/4 of the way up with jam. You don't want to fill them all the way because then they might overflow. Once they're filled up, we're going to bake them for 12 to 14 minutes or until the sides of the cookies start to get slightly golden brown. They're going to be soft when you take them out, and that's totally fine. They'll firm up a little bit as they cool. Make sure you wait at least 5 minutes of them cooling on the cookie sheet before you try to slide a spatula underneath them to transfer them to a cooling rack. If some of the jam evaporates or fades during the baking process, you can add a little more once the cookies are completely cool. Voila! Delicious, easy, and ready to enjoy. Alright friends, there's my recipe for cookies for Santa with a gluten and dairy-free twist. These were absolutely delicious just as they were, but here's the little thing that I did that kind of took them over the top, and this is completely optional of course, but I happen to have some Paleo chocolate chips on hand. I use the Who Kitchen brand, and they're completely vegan, dairy-free of course, paleo, etc. But I always loved those Entenmann's like raspberry, I'm not even sure what they're called, but they're these like fancy cookies, quote unquote, that my dad always bought us during Christmas time, and they were just my absolute favorite growing up. As you can imagine, because I've been gluten-free, etc. for so many years, it's been a long time since I've had them. And I thought, this is so close, but it just needs some chocolate. So I threw some chocolate chips into the jam, and I just threw them right back into the hot oven. The oven was off, but just, you know, just the residual heat. So I melted them down a little bit, and they were so incredible. The only thing better than raspberry on a cookie is raspberry and chocolate on a cookie. And once they cooled down and hardened, I actually kept the leftovers in the fridge. They were even better because they got that sort of crunchy texture from the cold chocolate. So good. My whole family loved them. I will definitely be making these again. If you decide you're gonna make these yourself, I would love for you to come on back and let me know how you and your family liked them. And while you're here, let me know what your favorite holiday cookie is. Remember, now that you've watched my video, you can go ahead into that playlist that I've linked below and see what all of my friends made as well. I'd like to thank Valerie for hosting this collab, and as always, I want to thank you, viewer, for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and if you did, I hope that you will please give it a big thumbs up. I'd also love it if you would subscribe and click that notification bell because I post at least 3 times a week and I wouldn't want you to miss a minute. Thanks so much again for watching, and happy holidays. Bye!